The first step that built a billion-dollar empire. What if I told you your sneakers are connected to war, rebellion, ancient empires, and a 40,000-year-old survival instinct? Before Nike, before Michael Jordan, before billion-dollar sneaker drops that crashed the internet, humans were walking barefoot across ice, across fire-hot sand, across battlefields, and one small decision, wrapping animal skin around a wounded foot, changed history forever. Those first steps led to Roman soldiers conquering Europe under ancient Rome, armies marching with George Washington's sneaker culture, taking over American streets, and a global industry worth hundreds of billion. Shoes didn't just protect feet, they built empires, they fueled revolutions, they created identity, they made people rich, and by the end of this story, you'll never look at your sneakers the same way again, because every time you lace up, you're stepping into 40,000 years of power. To first STP, how humanity learned to protect its feet and changed civilization forever. Pierology UB. For the soul there was a time before cities, before kings, before roads. There was only earth. The ground was not gentle. It cut, it burned, it froze, it crushed bone and tore skin. And yet humanity walked it barefoot 40,000 years ago. Somewhere in Ice Age Eurasia, a small band of early humans crossed a frozen plain. The wind sliced through animal-hide cloaks. Snow bit at exposed flesh, and beneath them, the ice hardened like stone. Among them walked a young hunter. His name has been lost to time, but his footprints remain. Archaeologists, studying skeletal remains of Homo sapiens, noticed something unusual in fossils dated roughly 40,000 years ago. The little toe bones had grown smaller, less muscular, less burdened. It was the first silent evidence that something had changed. Humans were no longer fully barefoot, the problem with Earth, for millions of years. Our ancestors, Homo erectus among them, walked directly on the planet's skin. In savannas this worked, but when migration began, when small tribes pushed northward into Europe and east, into Asia, the ground changed. Sharp flint, frozen tundra, molten desert sand. Survival demanded adaptation, not invention. Adaptation. One night, after a hunt, a woman in the tribe skinned a reindeer. The hide lay beside the fire, thick, warm, flexible. She placed her foot on it, then another. She wrapped it around her soul and tied it with sinew. It was not fashion, it was instinct, and history shifted. The first shoes were not shoes. There was no inventor, no single mind who declared, "Let there be footwear." Instead, across continents, separate groups reached the same conclusion. The earth is powerful, but we need protection. In what is now modern-day Armenia, thousands of years later, a cave would preserve one of the oldest known leather shoes ever discovered. In 2010, archaeologists uncovered a 5,500-year-old leather shoe in a Renouan cave in Armenia. It was simple, one piece of cowhide, laced at the top, stuffed with grass for insulation. It could fit a modern US women's size 7. That meant something profound. The human foot has not changed much, but the world around it has. Sandals of the sun. While northern tribes fought frostbite, another civilization faced a different enemy. Heat. In Egypt, around 3000 BCE, artisans wove sandals from papyrus reeds. They were elegant, light, breathabl, and symbolic. Pharaohs were buried with sandals crafted in gold. Relief carvings show rulers wearing footwear while servants remained barefoot. Shoes were no longer just protection. They were power. They marked status. The soul had become a signal. Rome. Marches on leather. No civilization understood the practical power of footwear quite like ancient Rome. Roman soldiers wore caligae, heavy leather sandals reinforced with iron hobnails. They marched thousands of miles across Europe. Shoes allowed empire. Shoes allowed roads. Shoes allowed conquest. Without durable footwear, the Roman legions could not have crossed mountains, deserts, and forests with such relentless speed. The expansion of Western civilization walked on leather soles. The cold north and the soft steppe across the Atlantic, long before the United States existed. Indigenous peoples of North America crafted moccasins from deer and buffalo hide. They were soft, flexible, quiet, perfect for forest hunting. Unlike Roman footwear designed for domination, moccasins were designed for harmony with land. Every culture shaped its shoes around its values. In the Arctic, Inuit communities built fur-lined boots capable of surviving brutal sub-zero winters. In deserts, sandals rule. In jungles, woven fibers allowed breathability. Shoes were environmental intelligence made visible. When shoes became fashioned by the Middle Ages in Europe, footwear transformed again. Nobles wore long pointed shoes called poulans, sometimes so exaggerated they required chains to hold the tip up. Practical? No. Symbolic. Absolutely. Shoes were now economic indicators. Only the wealthy could afford. Impracticable design. The ground still hurt, but style mattered more. The machine changes everything. Then came the turning point, the Industrial Revolution. Factories roared. In England and the United States, shoemaking shifted from handcrafted artisan work to mechanized production. In 1839, Charles Goodyear discovered vulcanization, a chemical process that made rubber durable and weather-resistant. Suddenly, soles could grip, they could flex, they could endure rain and mud. By the late 1800s, Massachusetts became a major hub of shoe manufacturing in America. Footwear was no longer rare. It was scalable. It was profitable. It was American. The birth of the sneaker in the early 20th century. Rubber-soled shoes gained a nickname, sneakers, because they allowed you to move quietly. Companies began to rise. Adidas in 1949, Puma in 1948, and later, in 1964, Nike. But Nike did something different. They didn't just sell shoes, they sold identity. Performance. Dreams. When basketball legend Michael Jordan laced up Air Jordans, shoes crossed from athletics into culture. Sneakers became art. Status. Collectibles were thousands. The ground was no longer the enemy. It was the stage, the soul of a nation in the United States. Footwear mirrors American history. Work boots built railroads. Cowboy boots crossed the frontier. Combat boots marched through world wars. Running shoes defined suburban fitness culture. Skate shoes shaped 1990s rebellion. Luxury sneakers define modern street fashion. Shoes tell stories about class, race, labor, rebellion, and aspiration. Every pair carries history. The future under our feet today. Shoes are smarter. 3D printed midsoles, self-lacing technology, sustainably recycled materials, biomechanical tracking sensors. Some prototypes adapt cushioning in real time, others reduce carbon footprints. The next revolution may not be leather or rubber, it may be data. UI, the sure step never ended. Somewhere long ago, a human wrapped hide around their foot to stop the cold. They could not imagine. Factories, fashion shows, NBA contracts, sneaker resale markets, AI-designed footwear. But that first step, improvised and desperate, still echoes. Because every time you lace your shoes, be continuous story 40,000 years in the making.